All right, welcome everybody this morning to the Plus This Jam session. I think I have actually finally figured out how to let people join and talk on these jam sessions. Now, what I've done is you'll notice on the page, and I apologize you can't really see my eyes. That must be really unnerving for some people. There we go. I've added on the page a link where you can actually access the Hangout directly and not just go to the replay page. And so essentially what has to happen is you have to actually join the Hangout itself and not just go to the page where you can ask questions. So people are asking questions on the one side, and then the people can actually join as well. So if you're on the page, on the plusthis.com/jam page, instead of just clicking play, go ahead and click the link below, and you'll actually join, and then you can ask questions directly. Now, I have set it up to mute everybody as they join. Not that I don't love hearing your voices and all that kind of stuff, but I just want to make sure that if you've got background noise or anything going on, that we can get that taken care of, and it won't cause any problems. So we're going to get started today. I think you'll probably all have noticed that let's see, your guests, okay. So you probably noticed that I'm going to have a little bit different of a background here. And I wanted to sort of explain that. There's some stuff coming in here, great. Yeah, Debbie, so you're actually live on the Hangout. So if you have some stuff going on, so if you can get that stuff kind of the sound taken care of, then we can actually just unmute you and we can just chat. But anyway, like I said, if you are watching this via just the page on plusthis.com, go ahead and just click that link and join up with us on the Hangout, and we can just chat through questions, and I can show you things that way. Let me go ahead and turn on my little presentation here. And I always forget to get this thing started beforehand, so it always takes forever. Let me get this thing rolling here. Switch these around. And okay. All right, perfect. Actually, you know what I need to do? I need to, Debbie, I'm going to, for a second here. Let's see. I think I've officially turned it on. Debbie, is that you?
Yes.
Debbie, how are you? Good to have you on.
I am well. How's your Friday?
Friday's going great.
I love Fridays.
Good, good. All right, I'm going to make sure that this thing sits on me until we have some questions come through. So I'm just going to kind of take us through the agenda for today, and then we'll get started and we can answer questions and do all that kind of stuff. So again, those of you, looks like there's a couple of viewers that are watching in the non-live section. If you go ahead and click the link, you can join us live and ask your questions that way. So let's go through. Today's jam session is brought to you by Mini Fridges, and I will show you why it's brought to you by Mini Fridges in a second when we get to that point. But as always, you are welcome to tweet me your questions at Brooker James, and I will get back to you. If you do not know me, most of the people that I see on the jam session today probably do know me, but if not, I just want to give you a little intro. So my name's Brett. I'm the guy on the right with the glasses. You probably recognize me from before when I didn't have my screen being shared. Anyway, I worked at Infusionsoft for a while, and then I worked as an ICC for several years, and then I worked for 6th Division. In fact, I was part of the founding team at 6th Division, and we have done a lot of cool stuff with the 6th Division team, and it's been a lot of fun. Then we built Plus This out of 6th Division to just help with some of the software needs that we found that our customers had, and we started driving on getting people that functionality. So that's what we have. That's why Plus This exists. And I moved over officially to the Plus This side, and now I run Plus This. So basically, my job title here is the doer. There are 3 of us at Plus This. Just to pull back the curtain a little bit, there's Dave, who's the CEO, who's he's the overseer, and then there's Todd, who's the boy wonder. He's the developer. And then there's me, and I'm basically everything in between. So I handle all the setup calls. If you're new to Plus This, then you'll know that I was the one you talked to before. If you've submitted support tickets, then I'm the guy on the other end of the support line, and then I also run the jam sessions. So that's basically my responsibility. So let's talk about the stuff for today. So first of all, mini fridges. What's the deal with mini fridges? Well, let me show you. Hang on. Jumped the gun there, but what's the deal with mini fridges? Well, let me give you a little gander. So this, by the way, you may have noticed, this is not my home office. This is a new office that I've newly acquired in downtown San Diego. I absolutely love it down here. I think it's awesome. But mini fridges are awesome because I happen to have a mini fridge that came with this office. So I have a couple of apples in it right now. But anyway, enough of that. So let's go back to what I was saying before. Now, for those that have never been on a jam session, may not be aware, I speak Russian. I spent some time in Russia and in Eastern Europe, in Ukraine actually. In fact, it's kind of sad. Ukraine is kind of falling apart right now. It's not a super nice place to be. I'm not super excited about what's been happening down there. Anyway, there's a lot of stuff that's happening. So what I like to do to kind of use that Russian and to actually get a chance to express it to people is I teach a Russian word every time I get on one of these jam sessions. Today's word is smert, which means death. And I bring that up because tomorrow is the dreaded Century Ride. I've talked to everybody kind of about the Century Ride, and that's happening tomorrow. So it's 100 miles, and I'm fairly certain I'm going to die. So that's where that comes from. So if I don't make it to the jam session next week, you'll know that I died on my Century. So just keep that in mind. As far as housekeeping items are concerned, let's see. Yes. As far as housekeeping items are concerned, we're kind of just rolling forward, trying to hit more, continue to hit our numbers. If you are an ICP, a certified partner of Infusionsoft, and have you're set up with all the cool stuff that we're doing with you guys, we're going to start pushing and doing some cool contests and things to see, and have some really cool incentives for you guys to be pushing free trials in the coming months. And so the more of those that you guys can push out, then the cooler stuff that we have in the pipeline to get you guys lined up with. So start pushing plus this, and it'll be a lot of fun. The coming months, June and July, are going to be a lot of fun in terms of that. Now today I want to talk about, we've made some changes to one of our features. I'm actually going to flip off my camera now because I'm going to turn my camera because I'm sort of hiding behind the agenda. Today we're going to be talking about an enhancement that we made to the SMS feature. So we found that some people wanted to be able to send SMSs internally and not necessarily to their customers. So maybe as soon as a customer buys a particular product, or as soon as somebody reaches a certain stage, a certain sales stage, somebody needed to be notified internally. Well, the problem people were running into was they had to set up that phone number for the internal person on everybody's contact record. So what we decided to do was give you the ability to hard code the phone number that the text is going to be sent to inside plus this. So let me show you how that thing works, and then we'll flip over and start answering questions. And Debbie, this is not a personal thing. There's just a little bit of background, so I'm just going to take care of that. All right, so let's go to here. Open up. Over here. Let's get ourselves logged in here. Oh, I guess I need to turn off my screen again. I keep forgetting to do that. All right. See if there's any questions coming in. Oop. All right, so screen. Perfect. All right, so we're going to my.com. We're going to log in as yours truly. All right. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to take you to the SMS feature and show you the changes that have been made. So if we go to SMS messaging, it's a pretty simple addition, a pretty simple enhancement, but essentially what happens is the phone number that should receive the message, you have the option of choosing one of the phone number fields, creating a different phone number field, or just hard coding in a number. So if you select let me enter a number, you can just type in the cell phone number right here, that the text message will be sent to, and then you can trigger it from anywhere in the system, and it'll just trigger it and be sent to the user or the contact record. Now, we are still only supporting USA and Canada right now in terms of text messages, although I will tell you, I'll peel back the curtain a little bit more, it is on the docket to talk about in our product meeting next week about advancing out into other countries. So the UK and Australia, some of those other places, watch out, because it's going to be coming to you guys pretty soon. So that's basically the update on that particular feature. I want to open it up for questions now. If you have questions and you're not actually joined on the Hangout, first of all, I'd like to just point out, you guys can join the actual Hangout and ask your questions live, like face-to-face. So if you just go back to that help, or that plusthis.com/jam, and instead of clicking on the play button in the link, or instead of just clicking play, if you actually click the link will take you directly to the Hangout itself, so you can join like Debbie has. And then otherwise, if you just feel like watching and don't want to talk, then that's fine as well. You can just watch. But there is a question and answer widget that you can use, a little app. And so if you do have questions, go ahead and drop those in. It looks like we have not had any questions come as of yet. But I'm going to go ahead and unmute Debbie and see if she has any questions. She usually has some good ones. So let's see. Debbie, you have to perform now and give us some good questions. Although I don't know if I can unmute you. Hang on a sec. Oh wait, no, I got to go over here. There we go. I think I can hear you now. You there, Debbie?
Well, I did kind of, yes, I am. This is what I was thinking when you were showing the SMS page. Can you explain some about exactly, because I noticed it said not mass communications. So can you explain exactly when you would be using this SMS feature?
Sorry, Debbie. You're kind of muddled. Can you like either get closer to the microphone or? Sorry, and it might actually be my speakers, to be honest with you. But if you could, maybe I don't know.
Hang on, I'm turning up my headset. Can you hear me better now? Okay. I was looking at the page when you had pulled up the SMS plus this feature, and it said not for mass communication. Can you give some examples of how you would use it?
Okay, yeah, that is a good question. So again, it was a little bit puzzled again, but I heard you this time. So the question for everybody else was, is there a way, or what's how does that feature actually work? Because it actually says on here, this feature is not intended for mass communication. I'll point that out to you again, because that is an important thing to remember. Right here on the page, it says this feature is not intended for mass communication. Right? It's meant for just small segments, 50 or fewer at a time. Part of the reason for that, I mean, the reasons aren't really all that important, but part of the reason for that is simply the functionality that we're doing, the ability to make it, to develop it so quickly and add it into the process. We had to take some, I don't want to say shortcuts, but it's a much more massive scale type thing when you're sending mass communications, because you have to handle, like, there is such thing as spam complaints for a text message provider as well. So the benefit of not being able to send mass communications is nobody else is sending mass communications, which means our servers are never, like the features that we have set up using this are never going to get shut down because of spam complaints with overuse, because we don't allow people to. So that's one nice thing. But to answer your question, Debbie, it's honestly a long way around, but to answer your question, this feature is meant to send off transactional text messages. So there's a couple of different examples. The first is what I mentioned before, to use it internally, which actually turns out to be one of the newer use cases that we found for it. Originally, this feature was meant to send out like appointment reminders. So if you're doing consultations, say you own a gym, and you're doing appointments, and they pre-qualify and they schedule an appointment. Well, one of the biggest things that gym owners face, one of the biggest problems they face, is that people just don't show up to their appointments. It's either because they forget or because they didn't get reminded or whatever. And so throwing a text message and then shooting it out to them like the morning of. And sometimes I've even I'll include a link to like a Google Maps of my location, so they can just click and it'll open it up in their phone, and then they can just do the directions straight to where they need to come. So that's one. It also can be used kind of similarly to what we're doing with the internal notifications, but sending those externally. So if you're a law firm and you want to update somebody on the status of a case, or if you're a design firm and you want to update somebody when when you have you have certain mock-ups ready, or you're ready to go on presenting something to your customer or your client, whatever. That's another sort of use case for that. So it's basically just like transactional text messaging as part of your systems, driving engagement, driving communication. Does that answer your question?
One more. Do you have a number that would be considered mass communication? At what threshold does it become mass communication?
The number that we have set is somewhat arbitrary, but 50 is the number we've set. And really that's just like 50 at a time, meaning as part of one batch, because just like emails, text messages are sent. You either send off one-off text messages as part of a system, or you send off a batch. And the batch is processed differently than the one-off transactions, or transactional messages. And so we like to keep it under 50, because then the batches are small enough to where we're not causing any huge problems. We're not, setting off any huge spam red flags. And so most of the time we'll just say, if you just put this as part of a campaign where people are opting in, not a campaign that you start and everybody gets it at the same time, but a campaign, maybe an evergreen type thing where someone's opting in and you're sending a text message to follow up with them, then this is something it'll work fine, because they're all being sent one off and not being sent at the same time anyway. But it's just those instances where they all get queued up at the same time. I mean, and actually any other system, I've dealt with a lot of the other SMS systems, and they all have the same sort of limitations in terms of they actually, in fact, I know the Fix Your Funnel guys, who have probably the most robust SMS system out there. They even say, if you're going to be sending out mass texts, like a lot of texts, like more than 50, more than 100, you're supposed to contact them, and they flip your account so that your text messages get sent from a different server, a different processor, and not from like the main one. And again, it all has to do with like text messages and phone numbers are way more closely guarded and kept safe, and sacred almost, even than email addresses are. And so if you're sending out text messages that people are responding, and they're calling and saying it's spam or whatever, then you get that, like, it can shut you down pretty quick. So.
Got it. So mass communication is kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not meant. Yeah, mass communication, you're right, definitely does not mean don't use it for a lot of people. It just means it's not one person sending out 5,000 text messages right now to a bunch of people. It's just as part of your process, as part of your as part of what you're doing, your systems or whatever you're doing.
Yeah, it can be.
Does it make sense?
Yes, it is.
Cool. All right. Let's see. I actually wonder if this. Get these new speakers, and I wonder if the speakers have them. Okay, let's go see if there's any questions that have come through. Your little question app, and take a look. I think what I'm going to do, by the way, is I believe there's no questions. For those that are watching, I think what I'm going to do is I think there's a limit to how many people can actually join the jam session, and hopefully people can't join and then I can't join. That would be a problem. But I think what I'm going to do is for the first however many, whatever the limit is, the first few, that first number of people that actually get on, obviously we'll be able to be part of the discussion, and we'll have just a group discussion about features and how you guys are using them and different stuff like that. And then the rest of people can just join and submit questions to the question app. And then at some point, if we get enough people that are getting on regularly, we may flip over and get a system that allows us to up our seat limit so that everybody can join. But I think for now we'll just keep it as is. So, okay, cool. Well, Debbie, you're here. We don't have any other questions. Do you have anything else that you would like to hear, Debbie? Let me ask you this. This is kind of you and me today.
That's fine. I need some coaching on Plus This.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
this is my question. When you're using Plus This for video tracking, and you're wanting to track how long someone's watching your videos, if I understand correctly, you can only use this here or YouTube?
Or Vimeo. Yep.
You can use Vimeo.
Yeah, but you cannot use Vimeo in Customer Hub. That's the problem.
That's the catch right there.
Yep. So we support, for our video tracking, we support Wistia, Vimeo, and YouTube. But the only restriction there is that you can't use Wistia, or not Wistia, Vimeo inside Customer Hub. There's just the way that Customer Hub did their coding, it's not compatible. It's actually not a plus this thing, it's a Vimeo thing. And so accessing their API like that just breaks it.
Okay. That answers that question too. Give me enough time, I'll figure it more.
Sorry, you're getting kind of muddled again. It sounds like you're at the end of the tunnel.
I know. Can I ask why you're using WebinarJam?
Oh, why I do it here and not on like GoToWebinar?
Yes.
Well, a couple of reasons. That's a great question. Well, the first reason is I didn't want to have to. Register people and then give them their own link, because that with the 6 Division Jam sessions, I love doing the 6 Division Jam sessions, but the one thing, if I could change about the 6 Division Jam sessions, was that I had to actually had to send links out every week, and then if people's links didn't come through, if there was an error, if there was an issue, whatever it was, I had to deal with that. This way, all I have to do is it's much easier this way because it's public. The nice thing is that I'm not trying to restrict the content at all. I want the public to get on, and so it's meant to be totally public. And so I drive, it's all sort of just straight up online with the video and that kind of thing. And then as people join, I haven't quite figured out all the kinks of how people join so they can talk like this. I think we're getting closer. So there's definitely a learning curve, but I've just found it to be a little bit more low-key, a little bit less clunky, and it just takes less effort for me. And the one really cool thing is that these things record directly to YouTube, which means I don't have to upload the replay from my computer to Wistia and embed Wistia video into Customer Hub so you can get access to the replay. Because the replay is actually just going to be embedded on that plusys.com/jam page for next week. So everybody gets access to that. And then I still will have to take the embed code and drop it into the help site for the archive. But it just, in terms of the amount of work that I do, all I have to do is on Friday morning, I get in and I set up the new jam session, and I copy the embed code onto the page, and then that's it. I show up at noon and I run the jam session, and I leave, and I do the same thing next week. I get up Friday morning, I set up the next week's jam, or that day's jam session, and then I join it at noon and I run it, and I'm done. So it's just more convenient for me. I like it that way.
That is a lot less preparation.
Yeah. Yeah.
But on my end, it looks like I'm the only person on the call.
There are a couple of people there's a couple of questions that came in. And by the way, Debbie, I think I'm going to send you an email. There's some I don't know what the problem is, but it's definitely not anything personal against you. But I think you might want to look into upgrading your microphone, because it just like a couple of people have indicated. Anyway, I don't want to. This is not a brag on Debbie. This is a jam session.
That's but okay. If I need to know.
So.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, cool. Well, I think that if there are no other questions, there's no from the peanut gallery. That's what I'm going to call him. Oh, wait. Oh. Good job. All right, Linda, good job. Linda managed to drop a question here, so let's go ahead and answer this. The question is there any way to use Plusys to preserve line breaks and paragraphs in a custom field text area? We've got a field listing, contact info, and team description for 3 people, and it is almost unreadable without the breaks. Ooh, I'm assuming you're referring to maybe like the make a note feature on that, to make sure that basically like just trying to figure out like if you use make a note, can it keep the field separate? And the answer is well, that's actually one instance. I don't actually know exactly what you're talking about, but you can give us more information on that if you do. The make a note feature was set up to drop the information in very specifically, and that's the way that it works. Actually, you know what? As I was speaking, sometimes I just talk, and then during the process of talking, I realize what you were saying. So you're actually talking about, for those that are watching, those that are watching the replay, the question is not whether the feature can preserve the line breaks, but whether anytime you put a text area field into a text area field and then try and merge it into an email, it does not put line breaks in. Now, a couple of things that I found that can work. I believe at one point you could just put the line break code, like the actual break tag, into the field, which is incredibly laborious and boring, and so it doesn't make any sense. The problem is that if Infusionsoft does not store the line break code, like the actual break tag, so it just stores it as text, and inside the database it doesn't actually do that extra information. So yeah, so I think that's an issue. Actually, more. There's not really anything in Plustis we can do about that. We might. I can look into the possibility of potentially making something that could help with that. That will be something that anybody who uses text area custom fields would have an issue with. We use that a lot, and so I definitely think that might be something that would be worth looking into. But we'll just have to see if it works. Okay, it looks like Linda's just made a note that the break tag does not work putting it into the text, and that's probably just because it renders the whole thing as text. It doesn't actually render it as HTML. So yeah, that's more of an Infusionsoft question. I'll do some research and see if there's something we can do about that, but there's not a whole lot that we can do straight out the gate on that. So unfortunately, I can't fix that one for you. So okay, cool. Well, like I said, look out for some cool stuff that's coming down the pipeline. We're going to have some cool features coming soon, and I'm excited to roll them out. So maybe, I don't know if we'll have anything by next week, but in the next couple of weeks we will definitely have more cool features that we will have rolled out. And so I'm super excited to show those to you. But until then, oh, by the way, I wanted to apologize. I think everybody, two things I want to apologize for. I'm just apologizing for stuff all day today. The first thing is, I believe that the emails, the reminders for this, are getting sent at weird times. So if you're getting weird reminder emails for these jam sessions and they're coming at weird times, not like an hour before like it says they're coming, will you let me know? I need to figure that out. The timing, it's supposed to be set up right in Infusionsoft, but it may not be totally configured correctly. And then the second question is, last week I know I mentioned we were going to do a jam session even though I was in Australia. And I actually was planning on doing it, and then I realized that I had done the calculations wrong, and it wasn't 2 in the morning, or I'm sorry, it wasn't 3 in the morning, which is, I was actually up at 3 in the morning that day. It was 6 in the morning. And that morning, in fact, I'll show you. This is kind of fun. We can take a little bit more time. That morning, I was up on a mountain just to the west of Brisbane, Australia. I'm training, so the Century that I'm doing tomorrow, I was training for it, and I had done this massive hill that someone had recommended to me. So I'm going to show you what I did by logging into my little GPS tracker software thing here. Log in. Okay, let's go to me. Come down here, and this last week, not a morning ride, it was week 4. Here we go. First of all, this is the coolest name of a mountain. It's called Mount Cootha, and that's how you spell it. Cootha. It's kind of cool. But at 6 a.m., I got the calendar notification, and I was at the top of the mountain watching the sunrise. And I was like, oh, I did the calculations wrong. So here's basically the ascent up here, and when I got there, and then let's take a look at, take a picture. Hopefully you can see this okay. Yeah, you can kind of see this. So basically, here's the view from that top up there. So as the sun came up, it was really cool. And this guy, this was really cool. This guy just picked up his dog. This little pedestal right here. He just picked up his dog and dropped him or her. I don't actually know what the dog was. And then started taking pictures. It was the coolest thing ever. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day from here. Wish me luck tomorrow. Hopefully I survive, and we'll see you next week. Same time, same place. If I don't survive, somebody will take my place, hopefully. and you can mourn my loss. So anyway, see you all next week. Thanks, everybody.